Good morning. We'll call the meeting to order. Council is conducting this meeting in person and via conference call in accordance with the Municipal Government Act, Section 199. Council meetings can take place in person as long as physical distancing of 2 meters can be maintained between participants. At this time, according to Alberta Health, public attendance at council meetings should be facilitated through virtual means. If you've submitted a comment request, the chair will call on you at the appropriate time. The chair may also ask for comments and concerns from the public relating to a particular topic, and at this time, phone lines will be unmuted. If you would like to speak, please state your name. We ask that only one member of the public speak at a time. All persons will be allotted 10 minutes to speak as per our procedural bylaw. We ask that if the meeting recesses, that any callers hang up and call back in as the meeting reconvenes. This helps with call quality. Please note this call is being recorded and will be uploaded to our website and/or social media. To eliminate background noise, please mute your phone during the meeting. Everyone has a right to be present at council meetings and council committee meetings. Any attendees that are considered disruptive to the progression of this meeting may be removed at the discretion of the chair, as per the Municipal Government Act, Section 198. Thank you for your cooperation and understanding. And we have all council members attending in person this morning. Councillor Kester, do you think you will be calling in later? I'm just thinking for voting procedures.
We'll see what happens because it's around 1 o'clock.
Okay. I will speak to voting procedures. We'll vote in the affirmative unless we need to have a councillor participate via teleconference, and then I'll speak to a modified voting procedure. We have an agenda before us. Does anybody have any additions or changes?
Oh, yes.
Good morning, Madam Marie. Brian from administration. I do have an in-camera item to add. It's Wheatland Regional Corporation. It would be under Section 21 of FOIP.
And CAO Henderson, I've had a request from one councillor who does need to just leave the meeting a little bit early. And so we've had a request to do that in-camera agenda item. We'll just do it following the adoption of the minutes. And then we'll move back into our regular agenda if council approves the agenda as such. So we would put a closed session under FOIP 21 WRC under I guess we'll do 2.1. It's business arising. Any other additions?
Yeah, I'd like to add under Economic Development Board, the WC Infinite calls and councillors on committees. Subcommittees.
So under 2.23, we'll just add 2 kind of subtopics, WC Infinite calls and subcommittee composition. Any other additions or changes to the agenda? A motion to approve as amended? Councillor Bigger has moved.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry?
Voting.
Oh.
I was already voting, but go.
Oh,
I do motion that.
Were you?
Yeah,
okay. Councillor Bigger has moved. All in favor? Motion is carried. We had the minutes from the regular council meeting October 6, 2020 circulated. Any errors or omissions? Councillor Wilson has moved approval. All in favor? Motion is carried. We also had the minutes from the public hearings of October 6 circulated. Any errors or omissions?
There are none. I'll move to approve.
Councillor Eichert has moved. All in favor? Motion is carried. I will now move us into closed session. All in favor? Motion is carried. There is one motion arising from our closed session. I believe the motion that was discussed was to direct Wheatland County Administration to work with Wheatland Regional Corporation to explore incremental costs for determining water servicing. I think that was the extent of it. Just exploring the incremental costs. Yes.
That's the reminds me. So I will pass that.
Councillor Eichert is making that resolution, or motion, sorry, making that motion. Any questions or discussion, and did I capture, I believe that's what we had discussed.
Is there a timeline for that?
It's October 20th. Yeah, we can ask for it to come back to our next council meeting. It's the second week in November, I believe.
I think that would be,
Yes, I'll put that date in there.
Okay.
thank you.
To the next council meeting. Do you want the date? You know it better than I do. I know they're different next month.
If that is,
It would be when we make the agenda, that would be determined. If there's any FOIP considerations, it will go in closed session. If there's not, it will be public. Yeah, with the information from administration. And it was like for council review. Any questions or discussion on the motion? All in favor? Motion is carried. I'm going to move that we recess until 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. We'll call the meeting back to order. We're going to move to 2.21, Council Resolution Tracker. The report starting on page 15.
Yes, good afternoon, Council. Just on page 15 is the RFD for the Council Resolution Tracker. Any resolutions that are in yellow are still outstanding. Anything in green has been completed and will be removed in the future. If there are any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Any questions for CAO Henderson? If not, a motion to accept his information. Councillor Bigger has moved. Any discussion? All in favor? Mackenzie, do we have anyone calling in? Any councillors? Okay. If you see anybody, if Councillor Kester joins us virtually, can you just let me know and we'll change our voting structure? Okay, perfect. We'll move to 2.2.2, Economic Development Board Annual Overview. And I understand we have the chair of the board, BJ Jansen, is going to present for us today. Welcome, BJ, or Chair Jansen.
Thank you very much, Reeve Link, and to all the councillors. It's a pleasure to be here. I just want to report on what we've done in the last year, and so I'll try and make this brief and succinct for you. 1 year ago yesterday, the WC went live. Hard to believe it's been a year. With a new website, social channels, and the big launch event, which was just great. And the brand was conceived and developed and chosen. And then a tactical brand designed to focus on the promotion of community and development services, activities and goals of investment attraction, visitation to the county, and customer service for the development process and tourism. And so that was the goal. And I think that we are well on our way to achieving that. Then we implemented a model for economic development, which was 6 channels. And I know that you're all aware of that and what those 6 channels are. So through that, what's been developed is the website, social channels. We even had matching shirts and jackets, just so you know, and then pull-up displays, and then there was a whole story and corporate identity, and I think the whole process of that was just very fun and got to bring us all together to work toward a common goal, and I think it was a wonderful thing. Another absolutely terrific addition to the Economic Development Board, which I personally am very thankful for, and I know that the whole board is, and that was in the hiring of Matthew and of Patrick. The insight that they have brought is absolutely amazing. I'm very grateful for their guidance. for the ease with which they came into the roles and for the way that we have really gelled and made progress on the Economic Development Board. And for that, I want to say a big thank you to Council for approving that. The other milestones, I've already mentioned the brand. Then we have a Grow with Google partnership, which has business support. And then a local website integration for property searches, and that's of course to do with the Lakes of Muirfield now. And then CARES allocation for CrowdRiff, which I know has been explained. There was the holiday train. There is some collaboration with Siksika. And first terms of reference update for the Economic Development Board allowed for the expansion of the board to include more economic sectors, so that was great. Another one which has proved to be really beneficial and looks great is the Carsland tourism sign, and then community profile development, which has just recently come out. There are milestones of mention from the board, and that is the Small Business Week 2020 sessions, which were going on right now, and real value there. Then there was lots of infinite possibilities, the weekly business call, which really attracted a lot of people initially. We took a little break on that throughout the summer, and it's slowly coming back. I think people have gotten busy in their COVID lives and learning to pivot, et cetera, and so aren't always available for those calls. The second business survey has just gone out, and we're just waiting for feedback on that. There's also been the WC website has been used as a resource and support links for businesses through COVID, grants, PPE, Alberta BizConnect. It was all before Alberta BizConnect came online. We were ahead of the game there. Development of the agriculture sector for the value chain support, and we're just awaiting grant news on that. And then partnerships. That is what has really gelled, I think, in the last year. And then can't forget about good old Rosebud, and working on getting Rosebud community groups to collaborate through partnering and planning. So that's a basic summary of what has been done. And I'm just grateful for the chance to actually report this, because a lot has been done in the last year, and for that I'm very grateful. What's next is the migration from an advisory role of members of the board to a working board with committees, and that will be explained a little bit later. There is great focus on investment attraction and business retention and expansion. That's what we're working on, and the tone of the board right now is just development squared. Like development, no, tripled actually, development. And so we are continuing to market the assets of the region and visitation, but it's more about visitor spending at multiple businesses, and that's what we're trying to encourage for sure. We are using, what's next is using tourism hosting experiences to host site selectors, developers, and corporate retreats, and then to expand our network, leverage existing and new partnerships, and to develop a regional signage plan for wayfinding and welcome signs in phase development with costs and a common look and feel. So those are the things that are next for us, and we hope that that'll encourage you some, coming from the council perspective on this, first of all, the bringing on staff people to kind of guide us, and it's been actually a really great ride and very, very encouraging. So once again, thank you so much for the opportunity to present this to you and for the approvals that you gave in order for us to move forward to this level.
Thank you for that, Chair Jansen. That's a very exciting update, and we're really excited about all of the work that that board has been doing. Very grateful for all of your work. Does council have any questions regarding the Economic Development Board annual overview? I don't hear any questions, but on behalf of council, I want to thank the board. You guys have just done a phenomenal job, and I know our administrative team has been working very hard too. The offerings this week, I equated it when I was chatting to somebody almost to like a free conference for entrepreneurs, like open to business owners and entrepreneurs in Wheatland County and our region. So I think that's been phenomenal, a good way to celebrate and also support our businesses. So BJ, thank you for all of your work, and please pass along our thanks to your board as well. We sincerely appreciate it.
I certainly will, and thanks very much.
A motion to accept the overview as information.
Also move.
Councillor Bigger has moved. All in favor? Motion is carried. We'll move to 2.2.3, Economic Development Board Terms of Reference.
Madam Reeve and Council, Matt from Administration. On page 32 of your agenda package, you have a request for decision based on an updated Economic Development Board Terms of Reference. As Chair Jansen just said, we're looking obviously to migrate from a more advisory board to a working board. This fits in several capacities under the Economic Development Terms of Reference. We're looking at really pushing investment attraction. So one of our goals in the amended terms of reference is to break out into subcommittees. So have 3 various subcommittees that really impact and really channel into and drive investment attraction. One of them will be visitation, one of them will be investment attraction altogether, and one of them is marketing and social media. So 3 subcommittees. The recommended structure is for the entire board to meet quarterly, and then each of the subcommittees to meet within. We've broken out the math in terms of the financial impact. The per diems and mileage to meetings will decrease to the overall fewer meetings throughout the year. So we've done that math, and we've accounted for that into the budget this upcoming year as well. But really the crux of it is how do we make the board more impactful, and how do we make the board work towards council's overall mandate of investment attraction. And this way, in terms of amending and modifying the terms of reference, in my opinion, in the Economic Development Officer's opinion, this will work, and we can get the expertise around the board working more towards that investment attraction goal. If you have any questions, I can answer some. Thanks.
Any questions from council?
Matthew, I had a question brought forward to me was, can any of the councillors come on those subcommittees?
Through the Reeve to Councillor Bigger, we hadn't explored that in terms of the terms of reference. I think the overall thought process behind the amendment of the terms of reference was for the sitting councillor and the alternate to be there. Now, that being said, it wouldn't preclude anyone from coming to a meeting or what have you. But it's ultimately up to council. I mean, we can certainly look at tweaking the terms of reference to that end. But I think the thought process behind it was we were looking at the composition of the board, including the sitting councillor and the alternate.
I had another question. So for, this is to the councillors, these WC Infinite calls that we hold every Thursday, actually for the last 6 months have really proven to be very beneficial. Actually, we did a lot of, there's ministries and MLAs and MPs that were on the call. And there was a lot of things that were coming from the small businesses, questions, concerns, labor issues. And a lot of them, a lot of our ideas and none of our input got changed. It was very beneficial. And going forward, these guest speakers that are coming forward on them they're very informative and very helpful. And I know that we've invited councillors to all be you're all welcome. But I always felt that it was under Economic Development Board, but I understand that it is not. So I have a request to actually put it in. I've put it in my report, and I've put it in my expenses, but they need to be ratified every time, and they hold them every Thursday. So this is 4 Thursdays that I have to ratify. I'm wondering if it could be listed as something that, as a economic development appointee, that I would assume that responsibility for those Thursday calls, and have an alternate if I can't make it. So it's a question out there.
And they're not very long. So Donna had mentioned that she would
Yeah.
probably just expense for like
So they're
whatever the equivalent.
an hour and a half, maybe 2. So for a month, it would be 1 entry.
And then what I asked Donna, because typically I attend as well and just bring greetings on behalf of council and update on any kind of economic development or business related things. I just asked Donna if she would do that on behalf of council, and if there's a particular, like a special larger one where they're anticipating a lot of, just some of them are more significant than others, then I'm happy to hop on and do that as well. Some of them I will still just listen to for the information, but Donna could represent council at those calls as well for us. Bring greetings and
I totally understand if it's not necessary, or if the staff think it's not necessary that one of us are on there or a counselor is on there. Then it kind of changes. I don't know. I felt it was necessary at the time, and I assumed it was under economic development, but it's not. So I'm open to suggestions.
from my perspective, I think it's really valuable, particularly having Donna there, because that link between the ECDev board and the strategies that we're trying to implement there, it's a direct link to some of our businesses, to, like you said, some of those ministries, the business support partners in the community in the region. And there's always diverse speakers. So value for me, maybe not necessarily so much every time, but for Donna, absolutely very valuable, just as that liaison. And then she can also make sure council's aware of anything that we need to be aware of, and kind of be an ambassador, share resources, that type of thing. So, and I would also encourage any other councillors who are, if you're hearing anything in your division, a challenge a business owner is experiencing, try and bring that to Donna's attention. Or if you become aware of resources that we could be amplifying or sharing with that community, to also send those to Donna so she could get those out. Like if I come across something, say in a call with MP Shields or something, I'll make sure that I get that to you so that you can share it. So.
Yeah, to me it makes sense. I don't have a problem with it.
Good. I'm good with it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's, I listened in on call.
And our business, I have heard appreciation from our businesses expressed for our administrative team hosting them and coordinating them as well, for council being represented. So I think there is value there, and it's always something, like Donna said too, we can reassess as it goes forward. Like administration kind of gauges the engagement on the calls, and so they have changed the scheduling when there's been less engagement. We spread it out a little bit more. We did stop over the summer just because we weren't getting the engagement. So I'm sure you and the team will be monitoring that and go forward. So we could put a resolution on the floor, just maybe designating that the Economic Development Board representative would attend the Infinite Possibilities business collaboration calls on behalf of the county. And then by virtue of that, your alternate, like Jason could be your alternate because he's the ECDev board alternate. If somebody wants to make a resolution to that.
I'll do that.
Deputy
What you
Reeve
said.
Clausen.
Yeah, it's very eloquent of me, right? Yeah.
Deputy Reeve Clausen has moved. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. And then in terms of the terms of reference, Ian Boscariel has presented them. Does anybody have any feedback or any questions about the terms of reference? Were any counselors interested in sitting on subcommittees that are not already on the ACTEV board or alternate? I don't know who talked to you. So,
Jason, he's an alternate, but
so as alternate, he would be included. Any other counselors interested? No. So that should answer that then.
that should answer that.
Okay, perfect. So we would be looking for a motion to approve the revised terms of reference for the Wheatland County Economic Development Board as presented.
I will so move.
Councillor Eichert has moved. Last chance for debate. All in favor? Motion is carried. 2.2.4 on page 47 is a request to proclaim October 26th to 30th, 2020, Alberta Development Officers Week to recognize sound development and planning practices and the contributions made by development officers locally and throughout Alberta.
I so yeah. Hear ye. Request that council proclaim the endorsement of the Alberta Development Officers Association be signed declaring October 26th to the 30th, 2020 to be Alberta Development Officers Week.
There's a motion on the floor. Any discussion? All in favor? And just on behalf of council, thank you to our development officer and for the work that the department does. It's certainly appreciated and I'm glad it's going to be recognized.
That's the only appreciation. In the fine print, though, it says I think staff have to bring in, the manager has to actually supply alcohols.
It's that kind of proclamation. We will move to 2.2.5, Gleason School Site Update on page 51 of our package. Good afternoon, Dave.
Afternoon, Madam Chair. The report here is just to update council on the Gleason School site since we've taken that over from Golden Hills School Division. Staff did an inspection on September 23rd and noted numerous kind of issues with this site with just poor condition of fencing and the playground equipment. So we wanted to provide council an update before we did some community engagement, just to let the community know what was the plans there, what was going to be removed, and those type of things. I do understand that our operations crew got a little overzealous and did remove some of the fences already, so that some of them have already been removed. But I don't think that was probably the anything that would be an issue in the kind of long term. I think the playground may be the only one that might be an issue. We'll remove that. So before we do that, we provide some engagement that just to notify the community that we're going to remove that equipment and the reasons why.
Council appreciates the update prior to the playground equipment being removed, so it was a liability issue. It's not meeting code is what you're
correct.
you saw.
And it's quite old and run down and stuff as well. So there's some hazards there that need to be addressed.
Should have upgraded it before they gave it to us.
Does anybody have any questions about the site?
Being that we're removing this playground, are we replacing it there, or is it not going to be there? Perfect.
Well, yeah, I know, yeah.
I think for a liability reason, they'll have to follow their appropriate.
Well, no, but if you're gonna just remove it.
Disposal.
Like, if
I don't even remove it, you know. What they do is it is there, because we've done it before.
let's let administration deal with that and council will.
I had a yard full of it at one time. When my kids were little, I had a yard full of equipment. It worked great.
Question, what are we going to do with this piece? Like, what's going forward? What is, I understand that. I really like the idea. But, like, what is the process? Because I just don't want another, like, going to turn it into a park? Are we going to try to put it on the market and sell it? Are we going to, that kind of stuff? So, have to have a meeting on it. Does it have to go into committee to go up there and economic?
I'll let
Casino.
So through the Reeve to council, we're evaluating the public assets right now in the master plan through the cultural recreation master plan. So through that process, we're establishing those priorities. And whatever comes of that will be the outcome in terms of how we're developing a master plan. And through the outcomes of the master plan, we'll be able to see where the priorities are for future development.
So I think they're looking at all county-owned lands and what the potential is. With this site, there are some caveats on what we can do with it, I think, for 3 years. I'd have to double-check the agreement. But there are some limitations on what we can do. And if there's revenue generated from the sale of it, then I think that goes to Golden Hills or to Alberta Education. I can't remember. I'd have to relook at the rules. It can't go to education. There's certain rules.
Don't want this to get thrown on the back burner and then have to, got to do something. Perfect.
In the meantime, we'll cut the grass and make it look nice.
Yeah, don't.
Other than the old building that was there.
Many places to sit and smoke drugs, okay? I don't want to be a contributor.
No benches, apparently.
No benches.
No benches.
Yeah, no benches.
We did, I think, when we had talked about this, welcome back.
We're
Did the
talking about
resolution
Gleason
pass?
School site.
It didn't? Oh, wow. I think I just sell it better. I had unanimous support.
Yeah, well, you are better looking than me.
I don't think it's that.
Couldn't see me, that's probably why.
That was why. There you go. We're talking about Gleason School site. Administration has recommended removal of the playground equipment. It's a liability issue, not meeting code, and a number of...
Just the north one, right?
Just the north one. You want me to tell you which one's north and south?
Yeah, if you could.
The south one's on county land, it's not on the school site.
It's not on the school site, right.
Just for
yes.
clarification.
And also a number of sections of fencing that are dilapidated and
Saw that.
not
Good
safe.
with that. Are we going to plant grass there? Because those weeds are going to be a nuisance.
I think administration will just handle the maintenance of the property well. Now that we've received ownership of it, we'll be maintaining it. We were talking about future uses. There are some caveats in the agreement with Golden Hills about potential uses and sale of the land and things like that. And GM Boscariel has indicated that their department's doing sort of a review of public lands and properties we own, creating a master plan, and we'll be bringing some recommendations back. There was some discussion around economic development potential. And I think what I was going to go back to is, in the meantime, one thing we had talked about is it is just like a potential recreation space for if people want to toss a football around or something like that. There's some fields and that kind of thing. So.
And it's 10 acres, right?
I can't remember.
Sorry, I don't remember
I'm-
the acreage.
Say what?
It's got to be close to that, though.
10
think.
acres, I
I
think.
think it's close to that, just under maybe.
So we're just looking for a resolution to accept this report as information.
I will so move.
Councillor Eichert has moved. All in favor? Motion is carried. And we genuinely do, I really do appreciate just the heads up. It just helps, for sure. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Without a problem.
As soon as the notification goes out, there may be some kind of mob.
But nicer to just be aware, right? So, thank you so much. We'll move to 2.26, Speargrass Community Association, request for park water service funding.
Okay, this request from the Speargrass Community Association is similar to a request that was done last year about the same time. The difference in this request is they're putting some money towards the project and asking for council support on this project. The total estimated cost of the project is $36,000. This request was defeated last year, so the recommendation is just for council to accept this letter from the Speargrass Association as information and direct administration to refer to the Speargrass Association to the CURB funding.
Can I speak?
No.
So they did take it to the curb last year, and it got turned down. First of all, remember, it came to council, and we said that their option was to take it to curb, and curb turned them down. So they have $12,000 towards the project themselves, the community right now, and looking for our support for some of it. The one good thing is that a lot of it could be done almost like in kind. We could be doing the work at a lesser cost than actually hiring someone to do it. We do have it already at Speargrass Circle. There's water there. It's chained and allocated how much they can use, and I don't know, someone's in charge of it. So they want the same thing for the other circle.
My question is, and I can't remember, enlighten me, what was the reason that they were turned down? What part of the process didn't they fit?
I don't know. They don't know either. They are going to reapply, but they have no idea why.
Can't they talk to their representative?
One that we've had complaints.
Because there must be, to my understanding, they should fit the criteria.
I think CURB typically gets more requests than they
Yes,
have
they
funds
do.
available.
If that's the only reason, I'm fine with it. But if it's
It could have been that too. I don't know, but that's not what came forth to me.
okay.
But I can recommend that they do
Find
speak
out
to them.
If it fits the criteria, and that gives us some more information, I guess, right?
Well, they don't. It comes back again, right?
Yeah.
That's already done.
As long as they fit but your representative should be able to tell you that. Well, it didn't fit the criteria because of X, Y, and Z, or we just didn't have enough funding. But you should be able you should know why.
I was wondering if council would consider a split. So if the association, if Speargrass Association has 12,000, and they apply for 12,000 through CURB, if the county would maybe take up the 12,000.
No,
towards
because
it.
then we'd be forced to do that with every other group out there too that didn't get. I couldn't agree to that, because what do you do to the next one that comes forward? As long as they meet the criteria and they're eligible for the funding, if they have to wait because they didn't, then that's fine, but that's between the members of the board at that table to push for that area to get that funding if it fits the criteria. That's what it was there for.
Can administration speak to the eligibility of the project for CURB?
It fit the criteria. It was just down to just the priorities of the board. Like you said, more requests than money kind of thing.
I agree with Ben. I mean, if we give them this, I mean, who's to say one of my projects that didn't have a high priority, but still my community wants to get it done, they should be coming in here too.
Take your two representatives out for coffee.
You got a paycheck? You can donate your paycheck.
What happens with the water, to get this? Is this thing got a meter on it, or who pays for the water?
It's not a meter. It's a.
I think the plan is to meter it the water as
Going
well.
to meter the other one too?
Don't think the other one's metered at this point, but any future ones would be metered.
That'll add a lot of cost to put a meter on there, because then you need a
I
vault.
think that's what Bryce told me that they'd meter.
You'll add another 15 grand to that if you got to put a meter on it.
Right, because it has to be below ground. So
Yeah.
it doesn't freeze.
You need a vault chamber and all that stuff.
Pays for the cost of water. I just, nice thing, and green space is great. But green space costs money.
Yeah, tell them to pave it. It'll be way easier to
You'll see
maintain.
how much money it costs, because these really nice houses have there's no grass. Yeah.
Speaking of Muirfield, I had this discussion with the HOA there about water. There was some things about they were getting it from a hydrant before with a previous developer, and I said, no, you're not anymore. So I said, go get a license from WID and pump it out of the canal, put it in a tank. That's what they're doing. So they have, if they want to put water from one side to another in the interim, they can go get a tank and haul it from one spot to another, I guess. But what Ben said, if we do one, we got to do it for everybody. So we could open up a whole can of worms. Fortunately.
Yeah.
Got curb funding for 2 more years. Hold it, they're good.
Yep, I'll take that back.
Have to get reelected in order for it to be called Donna Brigham Circle, but you know.
It's not my circle.
I think originally, just for context, originally it was an in-kind request, and then we determined we couldn't do it in-house, right? So that's
Oh, is
part
that-
of it as well.
Oh,
So
okay, I didn't know that.
that's what the report says. That's kind of what I recall is originally they had asked for us to do some of the work, which could be a different consideration outside of curb, right? Because if it's in kind, we do occasionally get requests for that. But the department has determined that we don't have the capacity, and so it would be an actual expense. So I think for consistency, it would be best for it to go through curb, just so that we're being consistent and applying that in the way it's meant to be.
Can I just jump in if we're done with that?
Certainly.
Surely. Do we have to vote on that?
If the council is okay with it, I wasn't there when they approved the agenda, and or we just kind of let it slip our mind that we had during the organizational that we'd bring back the curb appointments and have reasoning why. Brian said he'd have it ready for this afternoon, so.
Yes, and my apologies, Council. I did forget to add that at the start of the agenda, but if you are okay with us adding it on, we can discuss that right now. We do have Jessica on the line. She does administer the CURB program, so she will have answers. And I believe the question, Jessica Salmon, so she's our payroll and benefits. She used to be our grants coordinator, and she's kind of gracefully done both roles kind of ever since. So I believe the questions that were asked were the rationale for the recommendations for the members, how many people like roughly applied, are there repeat members, and when was it advertised? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that summarizes the discussion really well.
Okay. Jessica, if you're on the line, please take it away.
Hi there, everybody.
Good afternoon, Jessica.
I hope everybody can hear me. So to answer the questions that Brian gave me, so advertisements for new members or nominated members starts in August. It was put in the paper and on our social media through the month of September, and the deadline was October 1st. In that time, I did not receive anyone new wanting to be on the board the whole time it was advertised. So coming close to the end of the advertisement, I reached out to Marcy Field, who was our chairperson and has been the chairperson since 2012, and asked her for suggestions for Division 4 specifically and for Division 1. And the reason I asked for those specific divisions was because I had received 6 of the 7 who were expiring on the board from last year, they asked to be renominated. They said that they would, if nobody else put their name forward, they would be interested in retaining their spot on the board. But in Division 1, I had the person we had last year who was not expiring this year. She expires next year. She moved out of the county. So we needed to replace her with someone who lives in the county. That's why on the RFD that you have in front of you, there's 2 individuals for Division 1. And then for Division 4, last year we had an individual who did not attend a single meeting, and she never attended the meeting the year before either. So for 2 years, she didn't attend a meeting. And so the board decided in their first meeting of the year, if she wasn't going to attend, then we did not want to invite her back to volunteer for this year. So I reached out to Marcy about those 2 specific divisions that were short, and she suggested Bernice Bland for Division 4. And so I reached out to Bernice and asked if she would be interested in that. And then one of the things we've done as a board from whenever I started 5 years ago is if you know someone in your division who's interested, please reach out to them. And so the board member from Division 1 who was wanting to return, she knew that the other position was open as well. And so she went to her community and reached out and brought the name of a second person. And I reached out to that person and said, hey, I hear you might be wanting to volunteer with the county. And that's why we have the 2 from Division 1. So that answers the question about, we have 6 returning, 2 new. That means there was 5 that didn't expire this year. What other questions were there?
Jessica, I believe the last question was just like a general overview on if a board member was required to be removed. Would you know just the general process behind that?
The general process in the terms of reference, I went and read the terms of reference, which was approved, the amendment was approved in 2015 by council. So council got a chance to take a look at it and decide that it was okay. It only mentions removing a member in 2 places. One place it mentions if the member is repeatedly absent for meetings, what can the board do about it? And that has actually been used once, as I mentioned just a minute ago, and also it happened in 2014. Prior to my time on the board, they removed someone because they were always absent. So that was specifically mentioned in the terms of reference. It's done by resolution by the board, and that person gets removed. However, there is also in the terms of reference one mention at the bottom that says, notwithstanding the above, council may, by resolution, dissolve the board at any time or amend the terms of reference. So council can choose to add information about the process that they want to remove someone. So that's we really only have a term of reference about absences where it says if a member is absent for 2 consecutive meetings, the board can, by resolution, ask to have them removed. And they are to ask council to have them removed. That's how it works. So there is nothing about removing them otherwise.
Okay, perfect.
But it is kind of clear. But Brian, it is kind of clear that even with them being nominated, like I've given you an RFD for nominations, like they can say yes or no. Like it's at council's purview. So it's, I think that's, if you said, no, I don't want Jessica to be the person in charge, you could get rid of me too. So.
Okay, so that point being said, if there was a person on that list that reapplied to sit another term, I don't know what else you call it, and we don't have to let the individual.
No, you wouldn't have to let the person, but then the spot would be empty until we could replace it with someone.
Yeah, and I would hate to see that happen. I think if there's something like that's going on, then as a councillor of the area, you may get out there and make sure you got somebody else running, so the council has a choice of 1 or 2 to put on that board. I would hate to see the time when we said there's an open space, we've got 1 person applying, but we don't want them on there. I don't think we want to get ourselves into that position either.
I agree. I just wanted to make council aware there are problems with an individual that I've had a number of those people talk to me.
No, I can understand that, but I think I would go out and have some coffee with some of your neighbors or some of your residents and.
Look at her, not at me. My two are fine. I'm related
I'm
to
just
one
saying, go have some coffee with somebody and get them to put their name in so council has a choice. It's like you're no different than a counselor. If you put your name in to get elected to the position and nobody puts it in, the city council can't say you're not welcome. You're there. If somebody else doesn't put their name in for them to have a choice, well, that's who you get.
Democracy.
Yeah.
The worst
It's
form of
fine.
government.
Yeah.
You're part of it.
Don't remind me.
We have added it, so, well, council was in agreement to discuss it. We did not pass the resolution from the organization.
Thank you,
this
Jessica.
morning.
Sorry. That was
Yeah,
good.
thank you, Jessica. That's
Clarifies.
super helpful, just understanding the process and the context of the recommendation. So thank you for that, Jessica.
And keep
Thanks,
it in
everyone.
mind what, not to belay this, but keep it in mind what we did in Hazard last time, and I forgot all about. I couldn't get it in my head who it was, but that was the person that's sitting as our second representative from Division 7.
Cool.
Is in the village of Hazard, lives in the village of Hazard, but farms outside with his parents and is very, very active in the community, and so we did put him on that board because he was very. So there are ways to deal with it.
So council has a couple of options. We could appoint the individuals that were recommended through the process that has been gone through, or we can look at altering that process. I do agree with Councillor Armstrong that we've gone through the process. The recommendations are there, but I'm at council's will.
I'll move the council accept the recommendation of the staff that we appoint the ones that are on there.
Debate, questions, discussion?
No debate.
All in favor? Opposed?
I voted in favor.
Okay, motion is carried.
I believe we should have done something for Speargrass too.
Yes, we're going there right now. Going back to 2.26.
Oh, see, you didn't have to let me interrupt that. You could have just told me wait 2 minutes.
I should have.
Yeah. Because I asked, I said, are we done with this? And you're like, yep.
Moving back, there is a recommendation from administration at the top of page 58. Or whatever council would like to move.
Okay. I'll recommend that the council proposed recommendation is accepted and approved for Speargrass Water Service funding request.
So moving what was recommended.
Wait, what?
Accepting the letter.
The recommendation is to accept the letters, information, and direct administration.
Yeah, that's not what she said, though. She said accept the funding request.
Oh.
So let's be clear on this. What is your motion?
Good one, Donna.
Yeah, you would have had that, too.
Well, actually, I'll leave that stand, and you guys will have to oppose it.
Okay. So can you just repeat your motion for Margaret?
And for Amber.
And for me, apparently.
That the
My
proposed
apologies.
recommendation of Speargrass Community Association Water Service funding be approved for Speargrass
At
think
the,
that's-
you better throw the amount in there.
at the amount of, $12,000.
I think what hung me up, so you are not moving the recommendation.
Yeah, I am.
No, you're not.
The recommendation is not to fund it.
Oh,
From staff.
oh. I would recommend it be accepted
Just accept the
right,
letter as
accept-
information and direct them to go through CURB.
Okay.
So as long as we're, you can make a different
Yeah,
resolution,
you don't
motion.
have to do the recommendation.
Yeah, you can make a different motion.
You can stick with your,
I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
Because you said recommended,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
just say, I move to approve the funding request.
Yes, I move to approve the funding request from Speargrass. Letter association, from the association on water service funding for the Speargrass Circle.
Now I know
Speargrass.
how to get shit through though.
Council debate, discussion. The motion is to approve the funding request for $12,000.
As mentioned before by Ben, I can't support that because once we do it with these guys, we'll have everybody and their dog coming in here that didn't get a priority on the curb, coming in here asking for money, and that's not right.
And I've got a problem with the 12,000 doesn't make, the estimated cost of this project is $36,000. They have 12,000, so somebody's looking for 24,000.
Yeah.
12,000, it's 24,000. If we shoot this down, I want it to be correct.
You are correct, Councillor Eichert. That is
Are you
how I
going to amend
interpreted
your motion?
I amended
It
to
is
24,000.
So it should be 12.
My thoughts are similar, and to further that, that's what this board was set up for, was to fund these kind of projects, so it didn't come to us.
Patience is a virtue.
Yeah.
I concur. For me, it's just a consistency thing, and because it does meet the mandate of the CURB board funding, just that we should keep it within that program. So I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is defeated.
You want to put,
Council accepts the letter from Speargrass as information.
And directs administration to refer them to CURB funding.
Exactly, yes.
you're so smug.
Any questions or debate?
Somebody will always correct me. That's all.
All in favor? Motion is carried.
I thought you were going to be the town of Strathmore. I thought you were going to pass an amendment and then vote.
Yeah.
We'll move to 2.27, tender award for Carsland Fire Station. Here's some good news to follow the hard.
We're not still doing this, are we?
Madam Reeve, Council. Before you on page 63 is the request for decision to award the tender for the Carsland Fire Station project to Midwest Design and Construction. So just taking a step back, in early 2020, late 2019, a project management committee was formed internally to reevaluate our fire department, and as well as the needs assessment for the Carsland area for a fire station. We were able to cut the scope significantly as an internal team, and then in order to proceed with the project and ensure that we had everything kind of tied together, we commissioned a project manager to work with the project management committee. We did identify the La Glace Fire Hall as a model that would fit the suitability for Carsland, so we really took a model from that, which is up in the Grand Prairie area. In fact, the Midwest Design and Construction is the outfit that did build that La Glace Fire Hall, so this also was part of our evaluation when we did open on October 1st. The 13 received submissions, which you can see in Table 1 outlined there. So through that evaluation, obviously, we looked at cost and other associated factors, including the fact that they did build the structure that we're modeling it after. So to summarize the bids, we had a low bid of $2.188541 million, which was by Midwest Design, and the highest bid came in at $3.279 million. So you can see the average there. When we were evaluating the bids as well, we had to really look at the additional kind of supplementary associated items that are needed. So we have in table 2 some optional pricing items, and in table 3 additional equipment that was needed. So when we were designing this, we did in fact account for everything. However, with all the expenses in, we noted that it brings us to a significantly higher cost. If council does recall, we did pass a resolution to go up to $2.5 million. However, when we did evaluate that full scope of cost, we noted that we did have to kind of increase our contingency budget because there was no room there. So there's 2 parts to this report. One is first to approve the Midwest design, and second to increase our contingency budget to represent 10% of the total cost. Because of course, going through a project like this, we do need a contingency budget as a safety net in order to proceed and to ensure that we can kind of limit the scope creep, but have that kind of safety net there to ensure that the project meets the budget in time. So we're looking at a contingency budget of 10%. That increase allows for a total budget of $2.795,802.90. So $2,795,802.90 for construction of the Carsland Fire Station. Next steps, once the award of the contract is approved, we'll issue a notice of award to the Midwest Design Construction with that completed letter. The contract documents will be assembled and sent forward, and it'll be returned to the county for execution. We plan to have a kickoff meeting to review the project requirements, a detailed plan and schedule for how Midwest is going to execute the construction. The issued for building permit and drawings will be provided to Midwest shortly, and we did all of that in-house as well. And I'd like to also thank the Public Works crew as well for doing all that internal land prep, which significantly reduced the cost of this entire project to prep the project to get it ready. Midwest will also be working to finalize the shop drawings for the pre-engineered building review by the consultants to place the order for the building as soon as possible. And then Midwest has preferred a start date from their tender, so the preferred start date was November 1st. Provided the contracts can be signed and the building permit issued, we expect to see mobilization to the site around November 2nd, and a start of utility and foundational work in the first week of November. And Mike is here to answer any questions as well. But that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions?
So included in this price is project management fees and all that? Cost, that's all taken care of, that's all in the price?
Budget pricing, so for the project management and fees? That's correct. So for project management and engineering fees, we budgeted $172,925, which is in that total cost that's presented to you guys today.
Any other questions?
I'm very excited about this. Thank you, guys. So I don't mess it up and mess you guys up or confuse you at all. I approve the recommendation from council to the, do you need 2 separate ones? No. Nope.
Just read it as is.
Read it as is.
Yep.
That council award the contract for the construction of the Carsland Fire Station to Midwest Design and Construction based on the selected criteria and results of tender number AB 2020-05476 for a total amount of $2,272,124 with a total project cost of $2,795,802.80. And further, that council authorize an increase to the Carsland Fire Station contingency budget by $2,504,163.90 to $100,163.90 to represent a 10% budget line item for a total of $295,802.90.
Debate? Questions? Discussion?
I'd retire if I were you.
Mission accomplished.
Looking forward to getting it built.
It's a rare
Me
thing.
too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just better not
It's a
be any
good day.
complaints of the shitty neighbors.
Shitty neighbors.
Very much needed project. So we appreciate the work that administration did on this, on eliminating the scope creep and the ballooning, escalating costs, and getting us, I think, something that will serve our community and the industry there very well now and into the future. So
And actually, I
we
want to
appreciate
give
that.
Councillor Eichert
Yes,
a big hand of applause for that.
absolutely.
You saved us a lot of money.
I'm going to name it after you.
For making this project go from here to here.
Shrinking. For shrinkage. We want to congratulate for shrinkage of the price of
Because
this,
I'm frugal.
of the price of this project. It was,
No, it
It was
was
good. It
excellent.
helped make it
the
go forward.
How are
idea
you going to up it? Like, you got another term left. What are you going to do that's better than that?
You just wait and
some
see.
water in
Peaked
it.
at the wrong
You
time.
just wait and see. There's a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Okay.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Awesome. I missed it. I'm not used to having to actually
Against
count
that
people
for-
voting. I'm used to having to.
We should have just voted against that for shits and
Thank you,
giggles.
guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
you, Matthew.
2.28 lease agreement for Speargrass RV storage.
Okay, thank you, Council. On page 68 of your package, you'll see the lease agreement for Speargrass RV storage lot. So this is a lot that the county owns just adjacent to the water treatment plant in Speargrass. We currently have a 5-year lease with the Speargrass Community Association that expires January of 2021. They requested that they have a long-term lease entered into as the renewal for this, up to 20 years, expiring 2040. So yeah, we've analyzed it. We don't see any concerns. Any expansion of a plant on there, there is an opt-out clause in our lease for 90 days on both parties, if need be, to go forward. But mainly it's a little security for the community association to raise funds for a camera system, a security system.
Okay. I would like to recommend that Wheatland County Council approve the request to extend the lease with Speargrass Community Association for roll number 7357023, Plan 1610303, Block 13, Lot 4, containing 1.45 acres located on 202 Wyndham Parkway in Speargrass for an additional period to expire December 31st, 2040, with all other terms and conditions of the lease to remain the same based on the information as presented in the RFD.
Question?
Not question, just kind of brings up something in another municipality, another hamlet that we have that we've recently acquired. We have the same kind of situation here, and I'm wondering if we continue to operate an RV storage there, if this is something that might defer some of those costs and give the HOA a chance to get some revenue. And then we don't have to do that oversight. I don't know, that'd be something to discuss at PNP or something in the future, if we deem necessary that it needs to be there.
They have one there now,
There is an RV storage there, yes.
under county land?
Yes.
Yeah.
That we have.
Any questions regarding the Speargrass lease?
Friend. Want to be a good friend? Go comment on my old Facebook post.
Questions or debate on the Speargrass lease? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion is carried.
Please.
There were 2 items of correspondence. Thank you letter from Ken Shackleton on behalf of Strathmore District Curling Club. Thank you for the funding grant that they received. And just a note, they did highlight that approximately half of their members, I believe, close to 200 members, with about half of that number being Wheatland County residents. They were appreciative of the support, and then also an update from Alice Booth on behalf of Gleason and District Community Association, outlining how they use the CRISP funding. You okay?
Have some of these.
I've got a flap that doesn't close once in a while, and every once in a while something goes.
I got mine cut out.
CRISP funding grant and how it was utilized in the hall there. Any questions? A motion to accept the correspondence as information.
So moved.
I move to go in camera.
Let's vote first on correspondence. There's a motion on the floor to accept correspondence as information. All in favor? Motion is carried.
I'll move to go in camera.
Councillor Wilson has moved us in camera. Closed section under 21. I moved out of camera. All in favor? You moved in camera? We didn't move out of camera. We will just now move out of camera. Or whenever. We've moved out of camera. Motion was carried. There's a motion arising from the closed session.
I'll move that council does not sign the cooperative storm water management operations and development management agreement. Further, the Wheatland County does not become a member of the CSMI cooperative. Further, the council approved the continuous support of the CSMI cooperative, its partners in regional stormwater systems, by continuing to act as a managing partner on the approved Alberta. Further, that council approve administration to work with the CSMI cooperative on potential options for Wheatland County to utilize the regional stormwater system in the future.
Could you repeat that?
Certainly.
Any questions or debate? All in favor? Motion is carried. That brings us to the conclusion of our agenda. And I will adjourn our meeting. Thanks, everybody.